figure out, then, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not, people. I really don't know. But if you live in Virginia, you do know. Weather is what weather does.
This is true. But yeah, so went out to Richmond, or not Richmond.
Langley,
because it was Mayflower's mother's birthday, and she invited us out there.
Happy birthday, Mayflower's mother.
And she had a friend who was doing the races, and he was doing the sprint cars, which are those race cars with like the funky truck bed on top for airfoil.
Is that they're called funny cars?
Yeah, the funny cars.
Okay.
So she had a friend there, and the friend was like, "I got something for you for your birthday," and we're all sitting there going, "What's he gonna do?"
What did he do?
Well, we were thinking maybe it was like an announcement or whatever, but no. He had the side of the funny car repainted to say "Happy Birthday" to her, and it was on the side that would face the track as he drove her.
That is awesome. Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. Perfect gift.
That's good. But we went out there. I mean, track is nice. I mean, like I said, like we were saying earlier, it's the first time I've been to an actual watch a race.
Yeah.
Right? Other than, go-karts, but not nearly as exciting. And we went out there, and of course, it was stupidly loud for me, because I don't do well with loud noises.
Yeah, I know. When you come with me to the Dolby, you do the noise canceling sometime.
Well, I did that once there, but yeah, I brought these, right? And it was sitting there. We were talking about that, and then we got there, and of course, my daughter is like having a hard time with it because she has some real anxiety triggers. So we got all the earmuffs, right? And we had those. Well, those didn't work out so well because the cheap plastic and all of that. So
not true protection, people.
Not very comfortable. Right, and it turns out actually these did much better noise canceling than they did.
Great products from Apple.
But we lasted till the third race, and then it was like, all right, we've got to go because my wife's starting to get a migraine. She's already taking headache meds, and it's like, all right, we're gonna go, right? But the first race was of course, my daughter's sitting there like, okay, why come out here until the first race gears up, and that's the kids between the ages of 8 and 14 running the track, and it's like, wait, what? So then we're watching them do it, but
yeah, Sakura says she hasn't been in a race so long. She's been the ones at the county fair.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've been to one NASCAR race at Martinsville, but that was a long time ago. But I'd love to go to a Richmond race one day.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might do that. I think I might invest in some better noise canceling because, of course, we're all the noobs. We didn't bring any blankets. We didn't bring anything for the benches. We didn't bring a cooler with drinks in it to tailgate.
You're just there.
We're just there. So noob. So much noob. But overall, it wasn't bad. It was a nice taste. So probably going to go check out next season a few times. I mean, the cost isn't bad either.
Yeah, like if the cost is in a relatively
4-pack of tickets, 2 adult, 2 kids, like $35.
It's not bad.
It's not bad at all. And the fact that it's an all-day pass.
Yeah.
So you could roll out there when they open the track at noon and go all the way till they run the last races. Now, we were there for the evening races. But
so noon to about 6-ish, because
that's all the daytime. We were there. We got there about 5. Races start at 7
okay.
For the afternoon, for the evening run, and it wasn't bad. I mean, you got to see a couple of different car varieties run the track, and it was like I said, one of it was like just checking out some of these color schemes and sponsors on them. It was really cool. There was one of them. It was like number 3, but it was like a digital 3, like 8-bit kind of style with
cool.
Crash Bandicoot on the side, and the car was like a purple. He dominated his run, and it was like a 50-lap run, and he was just like, he started off, got in the front, and it was just kind of watching the gap open as he was going around the track. And then the last race was there's not a lot of cars. It isn't like a NASCAR track where it's like the track's stupid long, got a huge kind of angle up on the side, and there's like
3 racers
cars running through. This one was like 8 cars.
Okay.
eight to 10 cars, so it's not terrible. But
Just
it
enough.
was fun.
Just enough. But yeah, Langley Speedway is very popular in the area, so if you're in, check it out if you like races.
Yeah, definitely the local tracks. Kind of cool to get that start in there, but it was a lot of fun. But anyways, how you doing, everybody? Hope y'all
How's
are doing
everybody?
great. It's episode 104 of Scuba and The
104?
Ry, your Tuesday night I wouldn't say education. Tuesday night conversation about movies, games, and whatever is going on with life. So let's sail away, but not like the guy who just rode across the Atlantic.
Yes. Hint, hint.
No, we'll just talk
It's
about
very
it now.
odd.
There's a story. It's changing our format. We're just going to go free flow here.
From the
there was
BBC?
a story about a former Marine who rode across the Atlantic from New York to Europe, unsupported.
Unsupported. Nobody sponsored him. He did it with his own money.
And he just arrived not too long ago after 119 days.
Yeah, 119 days. So a good 3-4 months of rowing from New York to Cornwall, UK.
Got to give him credit for that. I mean, that's not quite sailing away we're doing, but you know.
No. But yeah, the funny thing is a couple things that he did once he got there. So
What's
the
that?
first thing he did is say he's never doing anything dangerous again. Yeah, you know, crossing the ocean is pretty dangerous. And number 2, he decided to celebrate with a cup of coffee, a plate of chicken, and pasta. So,
Hey, he had to be pretty tired after doing that.
Yep, after being stung by jellyfish, hit by huge storms, and revealed that he has a fear of open water.
Hey, that fear of the open water is legit. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I have fears, so I'm not going to downplay anybody that has fears. So, yeah. What's out there in the ocean, we still don't know.
But, you know, I'm sure he's got some great stories of some of those things he saw and some of the things he encountered.
But
so,
yeah. But
can't really complain about
nope,
that.
And he raised money for charity, so that's a
the
plus.
best part.
Yeah.
You really
Charities,
don't see a lot of those kinds of crazy stunts, so to speak, they would say anymore.
yeah, not a lot of crazy stunts, but hey, he did it and he survived.
So
4
more
months.
props to him.
4 months. Yeah, that's a lot.
Our adventures haven't been nearly as harrowing or death-defying,
no.
but you know, it's been busy.
From the couch to the bed to the bed to the couch.
Yeah, this weekend you were pretty much kind of at home most of it, right?
Yeah, nothing went on this weekend. I was a chill mode. Just schoolwork, football, movies, some games. Did go out to the outlets, and I was surprised when I went to the outlets.
Why were you surprised?
I was surprised because we went there, took my brother there, got him some shoes for his birthday. He likes Vans, so the Vans outlet is there. Walking by, and I look up, it's like, that's Puma. They're opening a Puma outlet in the Norfolk outlets, and nobody told me.
Well, clearly your memo got lost in the mail.
Yeah, clearly, because once I posted it, all these people decided to, hey, we were holding it a secret from you. You know? Maybe it was being sarcastic. Maybe they're just want to laugh in my face. But hey, what does matter is that they put a Puma outlet right up the street from my house. I don't need to drive far anymore. So that's all that matters, people.
Oh, gotta love social media.
Oh, yeah. So...
Gotta love social media.
Oh yeah. Sakura says she loves the open water as long as I'm on a boat. Will not swim in the ocean. So
I might be tempted, but then again, I've watched a couple of reels, like the one genius who they stopped the boat. He saw a shark, thought it was a basking shark, dived in, and then went, "Oh crap! That's not a basking shark.
It's not the shark intended for you, or maybe it was intended for you, and then you decided, hey, to make life end quicker. You know." But yeah, that was my weekend. What was your weekend other than Langley?
Oh, my weekend was absolutely bonkers with running around because it was Saturday. Was supposed to meet up with a friend to watch Let There Be Carnage, and we talked the night before, and it's like, yep, movie noon, we're good to go. I'm like, great, I'll meet you there. I got to the movie theater, got my drink, sat there waiting. Movie started. About 5 minutes after the movie started, I texted my buddy and I was like, is everything okay? And after a minute, he goes, Dude, you're at the wrong theater.
What theater did you go to?
I went to the Edinburgh Cinema Cafe, the one I always go to watch movies when I'm not watching movies with you.
Where did he
over
go?
at AMC. He went to the Cinema Cafe over off of Independence.
By my house.
Yeah.
So Pembroke Meadows.
So it was so it's a 30-minute drive, roughly.
Yeah, from where you were to there, yes.
30-minute drive, and I was like, oh, that sucks. Now, talking with him later, here's how that half of the story went. He was running late for the day, right? So he got to the theater 10 minutes late, walked in, it was pitch dark because they're running the trailers, they're about to start the film.
Yeah.
Orders his food, sits down, thinks I'm sitting next to our friend in the theater when he sees the text message that I texted him. And he's like, why is he texting me? He's right there. He looks over to his friend and says, hey, how's Steve liking it? And he's like, Steve's not here. And all of a sudden my friend's mind it's like that moment where everything falls into place.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's just like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. And I'm like,
I could see Philip's reaction in my head right now and doing what Philip does best.
I mean, there was no point to be upset. I did catch the next showing, so I did watch the movie. so we can talk about that tonight. But just that whole comedy of errors, and then go out to Langley, come back, and then Sunday, it was okay. I've got to do some work on the project house.
Yeah.
Saladin called me for help called me on Fridays like, hey, can you help me run this network cable that I've been talking about replacing for like a year? I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And then it was like I was gonna head over to the comic shop with Philip and Mayflower. Actually, no, Mayflower's brother, but Mayflower decided to tag along. I'll get to that in a second.
Tag along.
Yeah.
That's what we call it today.
So it's like I go out there and it's like I get done 2.5 hours running caulk for paint. Caulking is not one of my strongest skill sets, but I make an effort.
Hey, you do better than me. I just don't.
So then it was like I call up Saladin. I'm like, I'm on my way. I'm gonna call him up, no answer. Like, all right, I go to Arby's, grab my lunch, call him again, no answer. Show up at his door, and it's like, all right, let's do this. It's like, what do you need? Because he's like, he wanted my help because I'm a little more experienced when it comes to renovation things.
Yeah.
So all right, let's take a look. It's like, okay, you want to run it where and where? You want it? Okay. And he's like, my problem is this drill bit I got. It's only about yay long, and I need to go through a wall. I'm like, well, I clearly got the wrong bit. Okay, let's see what I can do here. So I call up my dad because if I don't have the tool, my dad does, and if he
more than likely does.
Then it's a worthwhile purchase.
I like your mindset. You're almost as bad as me. I walk in the store and say, I like it, I buy it. So
no, it's very simple. If I don't have it, I talk to my dad. If my dad doesn't have it, clearly we need to buy it.
Okay. All right. That's more valid than my excuses. I buy. It's a little more not kosher.
So I call up my dad. I was like, all right, so I look, here's what I need. I need a drill bit to run through a wall to run a wire. He's like, yeah, I think I got something. It's like, cool. Let's go over to his house, get the drill bit, talk about the project house a little bit. And he's like, hey, do you guys mind going and moving a couple of vanities upstairs? All right, fine. So go back to the project house, then back to Saladin's house, take care of those two things, and then Saladin, of course, as he's getting up there, he's got the drill bit chucked in there. He's standing on the ladder, getting ready to drill it, and it's right over the coffee maker.
Okay.
Right? And he doesn't drink coffee.
Okay.
He has a coffee maker.
Okay.
So,
all right, just keep going. I'm not even going to worry about it.
So as I'm sitting there watching. And of course, this is like a 3/8 size drill bit. So when it goes through the drywall, it's going to make dust and a mess. So it's like he sits there, and as he starts to drill and sees the dust falling, takes a couple of little shopping bags, puts them over the coffee maker to protect the coffee maker.
Okay.
And drills the hole, and then it's like, all right. And I was like, a shop vac would really be nice to clean up all this dust and debris you made. He goes, yeah, it would. I said, yeah, it's a shame yours is in my garage. So it's like, all right. So we come back over here because his roommate had got a flat tire. And he was trying to figure out how to fix a flat tire and couldn't get it to inflate. So I was like, all right, I'll test it. And come back. And then it was like, all right, well, now I got to go pick up Mayflower's brother to take him to the comic shop because he's at during his birthday, he said he was getting into comics.
Okay.
But he was a real noob when it came to comics. And I'm like, I know a guy.
It's like, hold up. Let's go. I got
this. So I made my connections. All right, let's go to the comic shop and talk to the guys and get into comics. Because if you're going to get into it, you may as well talk to people who know the material.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So Saladin tags along. So I was like, all right, +1. Get over there to pick up her brother. And she notices we're there. And I was like, hey, Mayflower, do you want to come with us? And she's just like, yeah, okay. So she comes, and then we go to the comic shop, and the poor boy's mind exploded. We were driving back. I'm guessing it was information overload. He was just mute as we were talking about, because it's like he went and picked out a book for the House of M, and it's like, all right, here's the House of M. This is cool, right? It's like a trade book. Well, as soon as the guys saw that, they're like, oh, you're going to definitely want to check this and this out. And they pull the whole preemptive stuff with him. So it's like, hey, read this story, then read this story, and then read this story. And then they get into talking comics, and he's just absorbing this information and
just soak it in, people.
Mayflower's wandering around, and again, it's that there's just so many things to look at, so many things to peruse through. It's clearly 2 hours in the comic shop is not nearly enough time.
It's never enough, people. Never enough.
So finally 2 hours go by, and of course Saladin, being nice, decided to give her brother a whole stack of comics he'd been collecting. So as we end, it's all right, let's take a look through this collection. Let's go through and tell them, all right, these authors and these artists, and a couple of them are like, if you ever want to get rid of those, you just come talk to us, okay? But then we get back, and it's just like, this is just all of this stuff.
Just so much, people. What am I going to do? I don't know.
I guess we're talking about spiders in the chat, which is funny.
they've just been going on about spiders in the chat.
But it was just a lot of back and forth all day, just on these various things.
It sounds a lot of driving, because back and forth can turn into a lot of driving.
Yes, right now is so ridiculous. I think I burned like half a tank or more just running around over 3 days, and it was just like ridiculous. And then go to the gas stations right now. It's like my little Jeep is like $50 to fill up. It's like I never had to go with that.
Yeah, I'm not going. I don't go that high, but I understand.
So it was just like great weekend overall. It wasn't bad. Friday night I did watch a few movies, and then Saturday watched Let There Be Carnage. But before we get into that, real quick, take a moment to do a shout out to Sirenscape.
Shout out.
Sirenscape's a collection of background musics and soundboards you can use for your tabletop gaming experience. We use them here on the show as background in the lulls of conversation. But you can go check them out. They have a great subscription for that. They also have an online player. So if you're still working remote in this time of craziness, you can have your people, have everyone sign in and share a game sounds with them while you're doing a video call to play a game.
Check them out.
Sirenscape.com for more information on that.
There you go.
So now that we got that plug out of the way, let's talk about Let There Be Carnage.
Venom. Let There Be Carnage. The big movie that came out this weekend.
Yes, it was.
And big, indeed.
Big in a lot of ways. Yes. This was originally pushed back, then brought forward.
Then pushed back, and then brought forward.
So this is Tom Hardy reprising the role as Eddie Brock and Venom. And this time the director is Andy Serkis, who is actually not a bad director. He did a lot. Turns out he actually did a lot of the secondary work for Peter Jackson on a couple of his films.
Yep.
And of course, we know he is like the king when it comes to motion capture performances.
He is the king.
Thank you, Gollum. Thank you. What was
Caesar?
Caesar
from the Planet of the Apes trilogy.
King Kong. I mean, lot of cool different things this guy's done. So he was helmed on this one, and so we have this film, and it wasn't bad.
It was better than the first one, I can tell you that, people.
Oh yes. So
I hated the first one.
Ry, tell us about to give us the short version of your review, so we can kind of go into the conversation.
Short version. Just a quick synopsis. This is the sequel to the first one. Eddie Brock / Venom, played by Tom Hardy, encounters a new opponent in the form of Cletus Cassidy / Carnage, who is played by Woody Harrelson. And after a fateful interaction, Brock and Venom must put their differences aside in a way to try to take out this new unrelenting threat. And that's pretty much the basis of this film.
That's actually remembers the entire film. Because unlike the first one, where he had all this grand stuff about the Life Foundation and all these things, this film is very much, we're talking about a core group of characters.
Just focused,
Tom
very
Hardy,
short.
Woody Harrelson, the actress who played Shriek, which was Carnage's love interest.
Yep.
And then you have, returning is Eddie's former love interest and her fiance.
Yep.
Or boyfriend, whatever, the doctor.
Yeah, the doctor.
The first one.
Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan, and it's like this whole thing, but this is the core of the film. We're not going all this bombastic stuff that we saw in like the first one. This is we're diving into these core group of people. I think that is one of the strengths of the film, and then this whole thing about relationships.
Yeah, that's the one thing that is very strong in this sequel. So the sequel takes out all the mechanics of what the first was terrible at and just focus on the core element that is the focus is the characters, and at the center is Venom / Eddie Brock, and it focuses on their relationship and their friendship, and there's a dynamic to the relationship that's colorful, has comical hijinks. There's some funny scenes in here, but what it also does, it has a conflict of heroism versus true friendship. So they clashing over what they need to do to try to live a quiet life, but at the same time, take out the bad guys. And that parallels the relationship between Eddie Brock and Cletus Cassidy, because Cassidy is a straight up serial killer. So there's a bond that is both a complete contraction, but at the same time a reflection of each other. And because of this certain incident, he gets a hold of part of the symbiote, and it forms Carnage, and he just goes and wreaks havoc throughout the film.
Overall they were fairly decent on the whole. Where Carnage came from and whatnot.
It's very general explanation, but they don't try to over explain it. It just is, and then you just keep moving forward.
Yeah, and I the relationship bit is also a nice kind of mirror contrast. Like you have Eddie and Venom, who are constantly at each other's throats, back and forth, this dynamic. And then you, on the opposite side, you have Cletus and Shriek, who have been separated for majority of their lives, but they still have this thing for each other, and they want to get together thinking everything's going to be fine. So you have a nice mirror between the two relationships.
Yeah, those characters, you have the havoc relationship of Cassidy and Carnage, and then you have the fragility of the team up of Eddie Brock and Venom, and that's what makes the film enjoyable to watch. It actually lifts above the very meanderingness of the obvious explanations that happen in the film, and that's a good thing, because unlike the first, where they tried to dwell on so many things and it brought it down, they didn't do it here. There's just quick paced, focus on the visual aesthetics, focus on the creatures and the action. There's a big body count in this film for a PG-13 film, but it is Carnage.
But the body count is all off camera.
Yeah.
The body count's implied. You're not seeing a lot of gore. That would be a rated R film, which a friend of ours actually thought that was one of his major critiques, is because Carnage is so violent of a character in Marvel. Yeah. The only way you could really do him justice is in a rated R setting. Yeah. Which I think there's an argument for that, but
yes and no. And I think the way that they did it in here is that by implying it, it makes your imagination build upon what ifs, which makes it even more crazier. So I think that's a good and bad thing. It just depends on how you approach it.
But they definitely got the core elements of what made Carnage, and that his symbiote powers and everything. It's a good back and forth between Brock and Brock and Cassidy, and I gotta say, Woody Harrelson is probably the best at playing completely nuts serial killers.
Reminds me of Natural Born Killers in this movie.
That's actually something I said. From seeing that, and I was like, if they ever did Carnage, Woody Harrelson would be the perfect one for Cletus Cassidy, just because he could come across his performance capability of being someone who's just out there. I think it was probably one of the better things. So, but overall though, yeah, this is a very much cookie cutter hero's journey.
Yeah, it's a hero's journey. It has a very repetitive directive of character causes situation, exposition dump, clue found, move on to the next scene. But even with the generalization, there's enough fun and visual aesthetics, and the fact that they actually tried something different with the character makes it a lot more just a fun journey on top of the basic hero's journey.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
3 out of 5 for me. Worth seeing at the theaters for the right price.
Yep, same here. I have 3 out of 5 on that as well.
So they did a good job erasing the bad taste I had in the first movie. So, but you saw a couple other ones this weekend too.
Yeah, I watched a few films. It's rare, but I did kind of binge a couple of films.
One was from at least my favorite actor, one of my favorite actors.
Well, let me talk about the other ones,
okay.
And then we can talk, because there's a lot more to go into with that one. But let's talk. I watched since it's October and Halloween, I watched the Long Halloween, which is DC's latest animated Batman entry. This was a 2-parter film going on with probably one of the best Batman stories, and that is The Long Halloween. And this was really I thought this was really great. I mean, it was like 100% Rotten Tomato for the part 1. Doesn't have enough stuff for part 2, but the dynamic is like, this is a younger Bruce Wayne. This is like the Falcone crime family being killed and removed to being the prominent crime family in Gotham. You have so many of the rogues gallery in there, and all the acting and dynamics is really good, and you see the evolution of Two-Face from as Harvey Dent into Two-Faced. So it was really good. I rented the part 1, and then once I finished part 1, I immediately rented part 2 and watched part 2. So I watched it back to back, and hands down, if you get the chance to check this out on the streaming services, whether you rent it through iTunes or whatnot, definitely check it out. It's a solid 4.5 for me.
All right. Yep. I'll definitely check it out. I like the DC animated stuff. So
yeah, this is really good. Jensen Ackles actually does his run as Batman this time.
Okay.
Troy Baker did Joker. You also see Grundy and Scarecrow and Poison Ivy and of course Two-Face and Catwoman. But it's a very good story overall, and it's the whole, as well as some other lesser ones like Calendar Man, and whatnot.
Yeah, there you go. That is emphasis on lesser.
But I mean, it's this whole point of these members of this family are killed off on the holidays.
Yeah, and
it's like the holiday killer. Who's the holiday killer? Let's try to figure that out. And then all of this bit about family and relationships and all and whatnot. So. Very good story, a very good adaptation.
Check it out, people.
I actually asked the guys at the comic shop to try and get a copy of the actual comic so I could read the actual comic story for Long Halloween. Apparently it's grown so well in popularity, it's actually really hard to get my hands on.
Okay.
So I'll have to wait on that one.
All right. So we have another one that you watched.
Yeah. And this one is part of another conversation. Like, this October, we're talking... The traditional trope was to check out horror movies and whatnot, and you know, I checked out Willy's Wonderland.
Yep, starring
Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Now this was a direct to streaming service kind of release back early this year.
Yeah, February timeframe, I think.
There's several months back. We've had a couple of conversations here in the chat about I should check this movie out, see what it is.
Yeah.
So I checked it out. I've been curious.
All right.
And it's a 80s style slasher movie
All right. All
And
right.
it's
I'm feeling
supposed
it.
to be horror,
I like the slashers. Okay. You're drawing me in.
but
Okay.
it doesn't do well. It doesn't do well as a horror movie.
All right.
This one's a comedy.
So a horror
dark
comedy.
Yeah, horror comedy.
Like Cabin in the Woods kind of comedy?
I haven't
Horror?
watched Cabin in the Woods, so I can't talk about that one.
All right. But horror comedy. Evil
Horror
Dead?
comedy for sure. And if you're not familiar with it, this is a play on the whole Five Nights at Freddy's and all those things about Chuck E. Cheese being the animatronic creatures are possessed to get to kill you. And Nicolas Cage plays a drifter who his car breaks down and he has to spend the night in this abandoned kids play area called Willy's Wonderland and clean the place up. And if he does that all night, then the owner will pay for the repairs on his car and he'd be free to go. And he goes in and and it turns out that the things are possessed by serial killers and whatnot. And this town apparently is of the attitude of we will feed the demonic spirits to protect the town.
Okay.
So one of those older tropes, definitely B movie slasher type of trope. It's like it's absurd, like the total Chucky bit where it's like, oh, the serial killer transferred his soul to the doll and now the doll's possessed.
A Chucky thing.
Yeah, it's a Chucky thing. Totally a
Child's
Chucky thing.
play, but in Chuck E. Cheese.
But I think the strongest bit of the movie is the fact that Nicolas Cage, he leads this cast. He doesn't have a single speaking line in the entire film.
That is different.
So
that's different.
He has to convey the entire performance through body language and facial expression and eye contact, which I think from an acting standpoint is probably a good sign of your ability as an actor to convey a performance without speaking. Okay. Because when you speak, you can inflect and change your tone and deeper and higher and all these things to convey different emotions. If you're mute the entire time, how do you convey a performance to make you curious and what's going on? So, and again, Nicolas Cage has a reputation of being a method actor and being kind of really invested in his roles.
He is
when he goes off there.
Yeah.
But in Mayflower, I'm saying this because the movie, it may have moments where it's like, okay, we're gonna try and scare you, but it really isn't that scary because it's after like. The first instance where one of the animatronic creatures comes to attack and potentially kill their newest sacrifice, Cage's character just kind of looks at him, and when they start fighting, it's more or less blocking and dodging until the creature draws blood, and he cuts Cage across the cheek. And once he cuts Cage across the cheek, you can see him start to laugh maniacally at this creature. And then the creature's eyes go wide as in the, oh crap, this is not what I was expecting. And then Cage proceeds to beat the tar out of it and destroy it. And then the rest of the movie kind of paces in that way. It's one of the funnier, a good funny element is it's like the guy tells him, hey, make sure you take breaks. You don't want to work too hard. So Cage cleans, his watch goes off, takes a break, drinks like this energy drink called Punch. And the animatronic creatures don't bother him. And then when this first fight sequence came on, none of the other creatures intervened. It was just the first one. And then the next one. And then the next one. It's like it comes in ones and twos. And from watching the movie, the last one is going to be Willy. The last one is going to be the kid, the guy at the head of the table. And how's that fight going to go? And is that fight going to be epic? And it was kind of epic. And it was pretty much you put him down, but you didn't put him down well enough because he got back up and then he throttled you.
It's like one hit, no, one beat down.
One of the funnier things in the film, I really encourage you to check this out as a comedy more than a horror film. It does have a few horror tropes. It does have this exposition moment where it's like, ooh, occult and demonic possession. Ooh. And it has a couple of your stereotypical 80s slasher film victims.
Okay.
Which there are only 4 of them that get killed. One of them is and they play their role, they get killed, and then the creatures that killed them get the tar beat out of them. There was a moment where it's like the lead girl who's like, hey, she's trying to burn the place down, but she doesn't want to leave the guy trapped in there, thinking he needs to be saved, until she sees that he has 0 F's to give and just beats down these creatures. There's a scene where it's like one of the creatures are about to kill her, get into a fight with her, and then they square off, and you're in your combat fight scene, and then Cage's watch starts going off for its break time, and he looks at his watch, he looks at her, he looks at the creature, he looks at her, hands her a pocket knife and pats her on the shoulder and walks out. And you're just like, wait, what?
That's funny.
And then once his break, and you know, as the viewer watching this, it's like when his break time's done, it's on like Donkey Kong.
Bet it is.
But
this is definitely one that I wanted to watch and forgot about it, but I'll come back around and watch it eventually.
But I think regardless of the comedy and whatever, and and it's, again, I go back to the fact that Cage does this whole performance without a single line of dialogue.
That's
the
just
most
amazing.
You hear from him is an occasional grunt or whatever, or as he downs the can of energy drink and gives that expression of satisfaction from the taste. But he doesn't talk at all. He doesn't seem to pay any consideration. There's a point where the girl goes through this whole exposition, and when she's done, thinking that she has thoroughly scared him, there should be concern, he's cleaning a pinball machine. Doesn't care.
That's just, yeah, it's, hey, you got to do a job, people.
So I think it's unnerving because, like, if the creatures are like, oh, we expect you to scream and act terrified, and he's just like, bring it.
Yeah. And then that's what's the scariest part, is that they can't even scare him. So now they are scared. No,
they think they're being terrifying, and they get their little jump scare, and then he beats the tar out of them.
That's just funny.
And it's funny because it's like when he defeats one, his work shirt's all covered in grease. He just puts on a new one and continues on with cleaning. I mean,
very, very, very B style, but fun, it sounds like.
It's a very fun kind of 80s slasher thing. I thought it was great, and again, I think it's great because as a character, it's like you're not doing a lot of dialogue. Like if he were to do, if I think the movie would be horrible if his character actually spoke and came off with quippy one-liners and some of those different things.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the movie for those.
No, this is very much, and it's just the look. Well, other people are running their mouths, and he just looks at them, or he nods, or he has this very stoic and serious thing to him, and it unnerves everyone.
Yeah, that stuff, it when used properly can be good.
Yeah, even at the end of the film, when you think he would say something, nope, it's a look, nada. It's all unspoken and body language and eye contact.
That's a good thing.
And so, but yeah, if you get the chance, check it out. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's not very scary. I mean, there might be one or two moments, but it's the fact that, oh, let me be scared of somebody in this giant animatronic suit.
Who knows? It is scary to some people.
But it does have plenty of the tropes, like the ventilation shaft. Mm-hmm. Like we all know the ventilation gag from a horror movie. You're crawling in the vents and something crawls up behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Alien did it best with 6 frames played back to back to back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that was probably my funnest part in terms of movie watching, was seeing this and then the next day watching Let There Be Carnage. And seeing 2 completely different styles of film and seeing how they're both actually not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at Let There Be Carnage drew in 90 million domestically.
Yep, 90 million.
Which is 10 million better than the opening weekend of the first film.
Yeah.
And the best opening we've had since the entire pandemic.
Yep.
And I mean, the only one that's close to it recently was Black Widow, but Black Widow was also dual released and still drew in like 80 million. Yeah. After all was said and done.
Yeah, it drew in 80 million with that dual release. So, who knows what it could have made,
So, yeah.
But yeah. Fun movies. Definitely check them out, people, if you can. Theater and streaming. But this weekend's going to be fun. Another big one for October, because October is a big month for movies. But
it is a very big month. We got this weekend's No Time to Die.
Yeah, James Bond's last hurrah for Daniel Craig. So getting ready to see that. Watch another one on Netflix starring Jake Gyllenhaal called The Guilty. Another intense thriller. So back-to-back movies. But next weekend, Halloween Kills. The weekend after that, Dune. And then the weekend after that, Edgar Wright's next one, The Last Night in Soho. So boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Mayflower, it's nothing like Five Nights at Freddy. Five Nights at Freddy has the animation to make it scarier. This one, the color palette's too bright.
Yeah, you can't be a horror movie with colorful palettes unless you're It. Then
see, It just has a totally different thing to it.
I just wanted to throw a curveball in there.
It's like no. Like I said.
Speaking of non-horror, I'm looking forward to Ghostbusters Afterlife. Comes out next month.
Wait, that is going to be so much fun. I want to see how that goes.
Oh yeah.
But so yeah, that's our movie conversation. Not a whole lot of games, but definitely some films. And
not a lot of games. Just check out one on Game Pass.
We talk a little bit more on the after show. Okay, moment there. Let's do another plug. If you like the content you're watching or whatever and whatnot, please be sure to hit that like button. If you're new here and checking this video out for the first time and enjoying our content, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell notification. Let us know that you're enjoying it and you want to see more.
Right there, people. Subscribe.
So every like and subscribe really helps the channel out. And if you want to support the channel further, you can totally do that through a variety of ways. One of them is you can head over to patreon.com/Scuba Studio.
Scuba Studios.
And consider joining as a patron there. One of your perks is after we do this live stream, we do a live stream strictly for Patreon members. It's our Patreon after show. It's an ask. You can ask us whatever. We'll continue our conversation. Maybe even talk about some things we didn't get to on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So, nice perk there. So, yeah, plug that.
Plug it in.
Yeah. So let's chat about some odds and ends. We talked about the guy who rode across the Atlantic.
Yeah, we did.
Let's talk about the 27-year-old toilet found in Jerusalem.
Yes. 2,700-year-old toilet found in Jerusalem, as the article from Associated Press. Archaeologists in Israel, let me say it that way before I mess up the words. Archaeologists in Israel have found a rare ancient toilet in Jerusalem dating back more than 2,700 years.
Spoiler, it's a rock with a hole in it.
But the thing is that why this is very unique is because private bathrooms were a luxury in the holy city at that time.
Yeah, when you look at those societies, the whole that whole thing wasn't a big wasn't there.
Yep, and quotes from one of the archaeologists: a private toilet cubicle was very rare in antiquity, and only a few can be found to this date. Only the rich could afford it back then, to have their own toilets.
This is what always the luxury. The rich get the luxurious things, and then you wait a couple of months, couple of years, couple of millennia, and
now you can have your own toilet in your house.
That luxury and take it for granted.
Yeah, just remember, it's a luxury to have a toilet right near your bedroom.
You used to have that when it comes to the whole indoor plumbing thing. You know, it's like you look at it. It really wasn't that long ago, comparatively, that it was the whole thing with outhouses.
Yep, outhouses was the only way. That was before my time, but still very near than
It's
2700.
not too far removed. We're talking like a generation, 2 generations removed for us.
Yeah.
Whereas like that was the predominant thing in a lot of rural areas was the outhouses.
Yeah.
And then coming in for a majority of that. I mean, we look at just in the last 20 years going from dial-up internet to high speed.
Yep, I remember having to sit there and listen to AOL dial-in and waiting 17 minutes to download a song, people. So that's why I cherish my Spotify account. Because, yes, having cases of CDs and hoping that one doesn't get scratched. Yeah.
Alrighty. So yeah, let's talk about
Which one?
let's talk about the guy in Turkey who went missing and then joined the search party looking for him.
Yes, is an article from BBC.
So
Set it up. Set it up.
As you're sure, I'm trying to think now. Granted, this is a story that takes place in Turkey.
Yes.
This is over in that part of the world. But I kid you not, people, the start of the story is when this dude was drinking with his friends and wandered off into the woods.
Yes.
That's the start.
That is the start.
So if you didn't worry about where this story took place, you can imagine this is one of those things you tell the group of people. But no, he was drinking with his friends. He wandered off in the woods. He didn't come back for a while. His friends, his spouse, they all got worried. They called the authorities. They started this massive search thing to find him. He was stumbling out of the woods, saw that we're searching for somebody, figured, hey, I'm going to go help out too, until the people searching started calling his name. And he goes, I'm right here.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Hi.
Yep.
Something wrong?
Yep. And the funny thing is his response was, once the rescuers workers took him aside, he gave the workers one statement: "Don't punish me too harshly, officer. My father will kill me," he reportedly told them. Yeah, it is not clear if he was given a fine. So, yeah. His name is Benhan Mutulu.
Well, I can't really fault the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if this happened, again, taking away the country where the story is from, think about this for, we were hanging out. He wandered, the friend wandered into the woods and then hadn't showed up. I mean, it's not fair to be disconcerted. I mean, we didn't know if the guy was hurt or not, but it's just, it's nice that this has a happy ending, that the guy was found and came back. It's just really hilarious.
It is. It's very hilarious. Not the fact that he disappeared, but the fact he wandered back into his own search party and then just was like, I'm here, guys. It's all right. You found me, or I found me with you.
No,
you found me.
It's like they call out, hey, and he goes, yeah, I'm right here.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes, we're here looking for you. Was I lost?
Did not know I was lost.
But yeah, that's the comedy and the funny.
The comedy of the world. But speaking of comedy, there's even a more heightened, more logical, satirical one.
Oh,
from
yes.
Denmark.
Yeah, this one's good, and this one is a nice one because on the when we say it, you may have one reaction, but and then you might have a different reaction. So to set this up, museum is trying to put together a collection for presentation. So they reach out to an artist and say, hey, Mr. Artist, you did these really provocative pieces about a few years ago. We would like you to reproduce them for this collection.
Yep.
Artist is like, okay. They work out all they work out a bunch of the details. He's given his timetable that he has to complete this work. He ships a crate to the museum. They open the crate, and the crates have a pair of blank canvases.
Blank canvases, but the kicker.
The kicker is the name of the name of the art piece.
What are they?
Take the money and run.
So, the man took the money and ran.
Now, for context, his previous pieces were artwork involving currency to kind of demonstrate what the average currency for a particular country is.
Yeah, and
so this would be that there weren't pictures of the original artwork in this story, but the description is basically he took the currency that would be equivalent to this and arranged it onto the canvas that would be very thought-provoking.
Yeah.
In this case, he was given a sum of money to do this again, and instead of that, he sent over he said, I have a different idea. I was inspired.
Yeah, he was inspired.
Here are these two things, and the name of the art is Take the Money and Run.
Yeah, so instead of recreating his work, he decided just to give a blank canvas, but there is a caveat to that. First, he was offered equivalent of $84,000 US from euros. And what he said is, based on what he did, what he said is that the artwork is essentially about the working conditions of artists.
Excuse me.
It is a statement saying that we are also have the responsibility to question the structures that we are part of. So basically, the artwork is representing the working condition of the artists within societal structures, and if you're going to be compensated for it, you want to be compensated equally and fairly, in a way.
Yeah, so I think that's this is really kind of satirical and comical
and funny. Just straight up funny.
It is absolutely hilarious. But I think it's a nice thing where it's like, even in the humor, it's all right, as a creative individual or making something creative, whether it's an art or whatever, sometimes a compensation for the amount of time you put into it isn't exactly fair and equitable.
Yeah. So at the same time, it is a funny story. It also represents the ongoing, hey, if you're going to do a work for something, you want to be compensated fairly, especially the fact they wanted him to recreate something that he already did. So, and the museum is out of Denmark, the Museum of Modern Art in Aalborg, Denmark.
Now, the interesting piece on this is the money is still around. The artist had his contract. He has technically not violated his contract.
Nope, he hasn't.
He has until January to complete the work or return the money.
Yep.
And so we will see what happens and whether or not he actually completes the work and returns the money.
Yep.
And see how that goes, because the museum has already said if he doesn't give us the money back, we'll obviously take all the appropriate actions.
Yeah, you're going to take the appropriate action because you asked for something and you didn't really get it. Even though it was an interesting idea and theme, it wasn't what they asked. So
no, it wasn't, but it was funny.
Yeah.
So
if you want to check out the artist name is Jens Han.
So food for thought. We didn't even get to talking about the whole Facebook outage and how comedic that was.
It's comedic, hilarious, but at the same time, it depends on where you were in the world when it happened.
That's true.
Like something you mentioned off.
Oh yeah, we totally talk about it. We talk about it some more in the after show. But yeah, there was that Facebook outage yesterday that hit all of their platforms. Now, it was down for several hours. Not sure why. It's a little cagey as to why. You heard there's a couple of excuses out there.
Conspiracy?
There's a couple of those too. But the impact there was definitely some impact depending on where you are in the world. Like in Latin America, WhatsApp is used for a lot of communication between groups. And with that outage, that meant a whole breakdown of communication.
Yes.
Obviously here we have our problems where we think of social media as this major aspect of our lives, but there's a lot of redundancy in other forms of communication. But it's the fact that, let me make a Facebook post because Facebook has an outage, but I'm going to make a post that says I'm safe during the Facebook outage.
Yes.
Or I'm going to release a video on social media talking about the outage on social media.
It's a very funny and redundant thing, but and at the same time, it shows the differences in societies on how there's a luxury to certain items that are very well needed and dependent in other areas. So
yeah, I personally think it's rather convenient that Facebook has an outage on their major apps the same day that a whistleblower who is a former executive sat there and aired all the dirty laundry about
60 Minutes and a Senate committee.
say about Facebook capitalizing on their toxicity.
Yeah, and it's something that seems very obvious to common sense people like us here. But shut down, hide the dead bodies, and we'll see what happens afterwards. Who knows?
Call what you want. I think it's rather convenient.
Yeah.
At the time, but hey,
I'm saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But I like the word dead bodies.
That's it for us this week.
Yes, sir.
Scuba and The Ry, another one in the tank. If you are a Patreon subscriber, head on over to the Discord for the link, or go on to Patreon. You should see a link for that live stream, which will start in a few minutes. For those of you who are not Patreons, we still love and appreciate you. Thank you for the mods in the chat.
Thank you
in the chat. You're awesome and amazing. It's really fun watching that conversation about spiders.
Spiders was hilarious.
Spiders are always fun. Thank you to Ry for spending another Tuesday night as we talk about movies and all other kind of weird, crazy things from artwork that is a tongue-in-cheek phrase that in the end is also fairly thought-provoking.
Makes me want to go back up to the art museum up in Richmond.
Oh yeah, art's always fun. Yep. Anyways, hopefully we will see you all next week when we come back for another episode for Scuba and The Ry. We will say that we're not going to have an episode the week of
the 19th.
The 19th?
Yeah.
No episode that week because one of our old friends is going to be in town, and we're all going to go out and have dinner. We might do a couple social media posts for giggles on that.
Yes, sir.
If you want to know where all our social medias are, check out on over to our website, scubastudio.com. Link in the description below. Find our social medias as well as links to episodes. Still working on getting the backlog up there. And we will see you all next week. Oh, again, thank you, Sirenscape. Sirenscape, you're awesome. Sirenscape.com. Check them out. And we will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Peace.